Welcome to episode 119 of the Centre Circle. You got myself, Keith, hosting today, and I'm here with Isaac. How you doing, bro?
All good, man. All good.
Nice. Good to hear. Good to hear. So, yeah, as per usual, we're going to get through the roundup of the Premier League fixtures this weekend. A couple shocks, a couple not so shocks.
Where are we starting?
Starting at Stamford Bridge. So, for those of you that may not have seen this, Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2. Garnacho put Chelsea in the lead in the 4th minute. And I think when that goes in, you think it might be a bit of a formality. Chelsea against a newly promoted team. But Sunderland came to upset the script. Isidore equalised on the 22nd minute. And then Talibi with a 93rd minute winner for Sunderland. So let's start with Sunderland first. Managed by Regis Lebris. They are doing exceptionally well for a team that has just been promoted from the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, what you've also got to give them credit for is the fact that the way they came up was through the playoffs, right?
Correct.
So it would have already put them behind the other teams that came up with automatic promotion. What, 2, maybe 3 weeks behind in terms of schedule. So for the manager to get them up and running and get a tune out of them so quickly, you gotta give him credit, massive credit, to be honest. I know at the signing of Granit Xhaka in the middle of the park, giving him the captaincy and just building the team essentially around him, masterstroke, because it seems to be working. And I remember a while back I had conversations and questions about. Yes, obviously now in hindsight, yeah, it's worked out for Arsenal, but letting a player like that go, who is very capable. He's showing it week in, week out for Sunderland. It's just been great to see Xhaka come back to the Prem and not miss a beat. And then you look at the players around him. Isidore's doing well. He's scoring. Defensively, Mukiele had a great week last week. The rest of the team are all pulling their weight. They look like they've been in the Prem for, the last couple of seasons. This is just they look like a mid-table team.
Yeah, they look
right
like
now.
a Premiership team.
Like
And
a mid-table Premiership team.
I think the thing with Granit Xhaka is you can't underestimate the importance of having someone who's been in the league, been there, done that, and wants to have control on the game. I think I mentioned when I went to Crystal Palace v Sunderland earlier in the season, it was 0-0. He was the only one in the middle of the park that was demanding the ball all the time. When he had space, he was doing the scanning, wanted the ball. And I know there's a few eyebrows raised when they signed him. It's like, oh, he's leaving Leverkusen, who are a Champions League team. They've won the league in Germany. Maybe he's just coming back to the Premier League for a payday. Because we all know you can get paid very well in the Premier League. But he's come and he's actually delivering and being that mainstay that Sunderland need. And yeah, we've got to give a bit of credit to Regis Lebris, their manager, because it's his first time managing in the Premier League, and he's come to the league and decided we're not going to do what previous promoted teams have done. So take Southampton, for example, last season, where granted they tried to play out from the back a little bit, but they never really came to teams and played football. They were quite defensive. They were happy to sit back and try and catch team on the counter attack. Sunderland are not doing that. Sunderland are being quite progressive and moving forward. And
essentially, they're playing to their strengths as well. Just why come into the Prem and try and play football with these teams that are clearly better? They have better athletes. They've got better technical players. Just play to your strengths. We know we don't have the teams to compete with the top 6. We want to survive. However, what do we have within our own team, and what can we utilize, right? And signings like Brian Bobby from Ajax, and like we said, Xhaka, and let me just pull out the rest of the other signings that came in. Bobby, Gertruda, Bertrand Traore, familiar player. He's been there, done that in the Prem. Kieli from PSG. I know Mark Gui ended up going back to Chelsea, but they had him for a little while after
shows their
Masuaku.
intent.
So they've brought in players who have experience and ability. Adingra as well from Brighton. So they've done well in the transfer market, and it's all coming together for them. So and also as well the fact that they came back it showed a level of like fortitude within the team and a level of grit. I know they've done it against Brentford earlier in the season, but to be able to do it against Chelsea
away from home,
exactly. So that within itself just shows that they're not to talk about them in relegation in relegation form. I think they've dispelled all of that. They're here to stay.
Chelsea. What happened yesterday? Was it just Sunderland were hungrier? Is it the fact that João Pedro's not firing? I saw a stat yesterday that in the last 2 months he hasn't had a shot on target for club or country, which is quite worrying. You can say they're a bit weak at the back with Achipong having to play with Chalobah, but other than that, this is essentially one of the best 11s that Chelsea can put out, bar Palmer. So what's the issue here?
It probably can go down to a bit of a European hangover. I mean, most of the squad started against Ajax has played again today. Looking at the performance, they came out the gate firing, but then kind of just fell off. Now, again, alluding to the fact that they played midweek, Sunderland didn't. They played last weekend, so it could have been just a case of fresher legs. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it. I mean, there were moments of lapses in concentration, i.e. the defending for the second goal. I don't know what Chalobah or what was doing. It was just poor, just allowing him to hold up the ball. Like, come on, put a bit of pressure on him. For the rest of the team, I mean, watching the game, I couldn't really see any standout performances. Really, I think Garnacho had a great game. Considering the goal that he scored, but outside of that, Neto didn't really do much. Caicedo had a few pot shots from outside the box. Chalobah had one. Outside of that,
yeah,
it wasn't really a great performance.
Yeah, it does seem they're missing a striker, so to speak. Mark Guéhi, he's relatively young, and by the fact that he was allowed to go out on loan to Sunderland, shows that he wasn't considered to be the guy to deliver at Chelsea. Granted, this was before Delap got injured and Jackson found his way to Bayern Munich. But it just seems that for all their riches that Chelsea have spent, and in some cases they spent wisely, they just seem a little bit short up top, and that might catch them out this season. Like, a lot of their goals have been coming from Caicedo, Fernandes. I say João Pedro hasn't scored for a while. Neto's chipped in with a few. And going back to your point around the Champions League in Europe in midweek, last season they were able to essentially field two separate teams. Won't really be able to do that this season in the Champions League, especially if there's a kind of space for qualification in the Champions League playoffs hotting up. You're gonna have to put your best players out all the time.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Maresca deals with that, and we've got to kind of shoot him a little bit of bell. This is only his third season in management, so he is going to get some things wrong.
You're in it. This is it. This is your job. Find a way.
That's fair. All right, moving on to the G-Tech, where Liverpool got G-checked.
Oh.
Brentford 3, Liverpool 2. So I didn't see this, so I'm not as...
You didn't see the game?
I didn't see the game. Unfortunately, I didn't see it.
Well done.
Some might say fortunately.
Very fortunate.
So I'm my analysis is based off highlights. So I'm gonna hand this one over to you to give you your opinion. And I'll jump in.
I mean, run through the goal scorers.
So Brentford take the lead through Atara, capitalising on a long throw from Coyote, who had a good game by all accounts. Apparently got man of the match. And then Sharda capitalises on an exquisite ball from Damsgaard that just, granted, it's only got to get around one player, which is Konate, but it's a pinpoint pass, and Sharda does well, make it 2-0 on the stroke of half time. But Liverpool get back into the game through a strike from Kirkhead, his first goal for Liverpool. Thiago makes it 3-1 from the penalty spot. We'll touch on this penalty decision shortly. And then Salah scores his first open play goal since the first game of the season to make it 3-2, condemning Liverpool to their 4th league defeat in a row. Isaac, take the floor.
I saw the lineup and I just thought, if we come away with a draw, a point or something, I'll be surprised.
So what about the lineup were you hesitant about?
I'm not going to get slated here that Salah was in the squad. Bringing him back into the squad, I'll be real with you, after we just won 5-1 midweek, and then putting him back in the squad, now people are going to get onto me, well, he scored, and da-da-da, how can you talk about Salah in such a way? But if something's not working, why keep persisting with it, right? So if he's in the squad, and it's clear that there are deficiencies when he's playing, or certain players are not working well together, and you've put a certain team out and it's done well, why then go back to why then revert to type? Just seeing him back in the lineup just didn't fill me with confidence. So I think that's probably why I was just like, all right, let's see how this goes. But then you lock into the game, and one of the biggest things I've noticed this season with Liverpool, and specifically within the middle of the park. So as Liverpool step up into the opponent's half, so i.e. Van Dijk will carry the ball to the halfway line, or maybe let's just say Szoboszlai picks up the ball on the halfway line. If you look beyond him into the middle of the park, either Wirtz or let's just say Curtis Jones, because those are the two players. For some reason, they just kind of split. They disappear from the middle of the park. So there's no one showing in between the lines to pick up the ball. All right. So essentially what we're looking at is Szoboszlai on the ball in the quarterback position, essentially. And then you've got Gakpo, Jones, Ekitike, Wirtz, Salah. Almost all in the line. Who's picking up the ball or who's showing as an option in the middle of the park, right? So then inevitably what happens is Szoboszlai then either goes out to Konate or Bradley. Then the ball just gets recycled back across the line and then back into the middle. And then we're back to square one, right? And it kept happening. And it was jarring me because it's like, how do we progress? Like, what's the game plan here? I'm going to need Slot to come out and just be like, he's freeing up all sorts of information anyway. So you might as well just come out into the press conference and just explain to us what the hell is going on. We just looked like we've got no idea how to play football. Something needs to change. He needs to find a way to get Wirtz into the game. I don't believe Wirtz can play with Salah. And then we've also got the conundrum of Isak coming back into the squad.
Is it a case of too many cooks? When I say too many cooks, is it a case of he doesn't know who to play, where and when? Obviously, you've got to take form into consideration, etc. But is it a case he feels he has to play Salah, he has to play Gakpo, he has to play Wirtz? Because essentially, I'm looking at the lineup from yesterday, and it looks like a 4-2-4, which is crazy. You see, Gravenberch isn't able to play. For me, I'm like, give Endo a run out. Let him be your protection. We've seen what he can do. Let him be your protection. He's not going to give you the progression that Gravenberch does. But if you've got Szoboszlai or Jones or Wirtz ahead of him, one of those, most probably Szoboszlai, will be the person to collect the ball off Endo and progress the ball. I just think Slot is, now that he's got his tools with the money that's been spent, I think he's overthinking too much what he needs to do in terms of his starting lineups and his in-game management. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago.
You did.
That there's too much tinkering in game.
Yes.
And changing positions.
Yes.
And that's just not good at any level. Like, I've seen it done at my son's under 10 level, and it's chaos.
Yeah.
And then putting that into the pro game, right? So Bosla, you're doing really well in the 8, but I need you to go play right back.
Yeah.
For a little bit. Works. I need you to go play left wing for a little bit.
Do you know what it almost feels like, right? There are times when you have to try and fill the shoes of someone, and they're big shoes. So you kind of almost want to make it known that you're no longer in the shadow of that person or Klopp, right? So he kept the team as it was for pretty much a season. Maybe a few tweaks, like he said. He came out, he spoke to Trent about his defending. Gravenberch had a new role in the 6, and then it was pretty much after that. It was pretty much Klopp's team. The tactics were pretty similar. It was still high tempo. It was still counter attack football. It was still get the ball out to Salah. And what it feels like this season is he's just gone, I want to remove all association with Klopp and Klopp's style of play. Or, like you said, maybe he's overthought it too much, and now he's stuck, or what he's trying to get across to the players, it's just not working. It's not sitting in. It would be good if he could just maybe revert to something that's maybe familiar. We've lost Trent. Robbo's on the bench. We've got 2 new fullbacks. We need to focus on settling them in, because Kirkes is playing 100 miles an hour. He still hasn't settled. It's almost like the shirt is too heavy for him. Frimpong can't stay fit, and when he does stay fit, he doesn't look like a right back. Bradley can't stay fit, but he's probably the soundest option at right back that we have. In terms of our attacking options, I don't get why he's so wedded to having Gakpo start every game on the left wing, why he's so wedded to having Salah in the team. Ekitike has probably been our best player since the start of the season, but can't get a run. He can't. He should be the one that's starting, but for some reason he's getting benched. If we didn't lose 4 in a row, and they were like scattered losses, and we still at least look decent, I don't think there'd be that much pressure. I think it's a non-starter. But to go from storming the league last season to now looking to sliding down the table, there's big pressure there.
Crystal Palace at home in the League Cup on Wednesday is a good place to try and alleviate the concerns of fans, but let's see what happens and see if Liverpool's form upturns. Brentford, though, I tipped them for relegation. I thought Keith Andrews coming in as a first-time manager, you lose 2 of your best players. I thought they were going to struggle somewhat. However, they seem to be doing pretty well, and by all reports, yesterday was was it a convincing victory? Was it deserved? Okay, less convincing, a deserved victory, so to speak.
It was deserved. I wouldn't say it was convincing.
Okay.
It wasn't like they absolutely balled Liverpool off the park. They done the job. Liverpool looked poor, but they done what they were meant to do, and that was win. The penalty.
Yes, I was coming to that.
It was never a penalty. I'm sorry. A hand on the chest to put a player off balance, that's not a foul. Reaching out to kick the ball, any contact that was made was outside of the box. Yeah. So if you have to you kind of have to let us know which part of the action you're penalising Van Dijk for. Are you penalising him for the start, i.e. the hand on the chest, or are you penalising him for reaching out and trying to knock the ball away? Because if it's the ball, knocking the ball away, that's not a pen. That action happened outside the box.
And it was given as a free kick initially. It was VAR that overturned it and made it a penalty incident.
I mean, regardless of that, we still deserve to lose, but it doesn't help. Those kind of things there are just...
Yeah, but they say these things even themselves out throughout the season, so let's see what happens. But yeah, Brentford, ironically, they had 3 former Liverpool players in their starting lineup. I think Henderson's been a good signing for them, pretty similar to Granit Xhaka at Sunderland, just someone in your engine room who kind of knows what they're doing, there to command, etc. Kelleher, we all raved about him last season and before then about what a dependable goalkeeper he is. And yeah, Schada's just kind of...
Vandenberg.
Yeah, same Vandenberg. I was a bit skeptical about him. I didn't know how he would do, but he seems to be settled in. Like, second season at Brentford, doing well. Schada's taken over the mantle from the 2 guys that have gone on to better things, so they say. And Thiago's come in and just scoring goals, which is what you want when you're a team who needs points on the board. So,
but that just highlights what happens when you've got good recruitment. Everyone always panics and goes, "Oh, what are we gonna do if we
who's
lose
out there?
If we lose certain players, or who's out there?" And then they bring in some unknowns, some randoms, and then take people who are on the bench and let them step up and prove that they're capable players.
This is
It happens every time. Palace, they lost Zaha, they lost Elise, other players stepped up. It happens. You just gotta you gotta trust the players in your team.
Yeah, we kind of underestimate how valuable a good scouting network is, especially at that level. So yeah, well done, Brentford. Manchester United 4, Brighton 2. Cunha and Casemiro put Man United into a 2-0 lead. Then Mbeumo chips in with one, make it 3-0 just after half time. And then Welbeck with a cracking free kick.
I mean, the keeper should have saved it. It's straight down his throat.
But sometimes it comes fast and it's a bit spinny, Makes it 3-2, and then Kostoulas makes it... Sorry,
Welbeck made it 3-1.
Welbeck made it 3-1. Kostoulas made it 3-2.
Good header.
Very good header from the corner. And you think it might be a bit nervy for Man United, but then Mbeumo seals the win. 4-2 to Man United. 3 wins on the bounce now for them.
Listen, they look like a team who finally understand what they've been asked to do. It's mad, isn't it?
At the 40th time of
it's
asking
so
or something
mad.
like
But
that.
watching them, watching the game, they looked like... I don't want to go and say the Man United of old, but they look like they haven't been through turmoil. They were passing and moving, linking up well. Brighton have won 6 of the last 7 before yesterday's game.
Yeah.
So, they're not... It's not a team that's just turning up and they're in poor form. Brighton in decent form.
Yeah, and they won the last 3 at Old Trafford as well for
exactly.
them.
So for Man United to do what they did to Brighton, very good. But I did say that win against Liverpool was going to do a lot for United and their confidence. I know that it was a 2-1 smash and grab and they were dominated for most of the game. But the game that is Man United versus Liverpool,
getting over the line was massive for them.
Massive. And then they carried that momentum into next week, i.e. to yesterday against Brighton. It's. I'll be honest with you, I can see them starting to go on a run.
Yeah, it's possible. And I think what Amorim's doing well now, he's picking certain players for certain games. Like last week, he brought in Maguire for a Liverpool game.
And granted, Maguire was injured.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, that's why he didn't play.
Fair enough. But I thought that might have been a tactical one. So he brought in Euro. Fernandes and Casemiro were quite good in midfield yesterday.
Yeah.
I really liked Bruno's dummy for Mbeumo's last goal. Don't want to put a negative spin on it, but I think Sesko needs a little bit more from everyone around him. He doesn't seem like
Do
the
you know
player
what though?
to create much for himself.
But so he was dropping off into the hole, into that space between attack and midfield, and he was making stuff happen for those around him.
Okay.
He was, there was dropping off, one touch, spinning around the corner, putting the ball through. He looked like a competent striker.
Yeah, but I say it in
He
terms
looked very
of
decent
he needs to be the one
on the end of
getting the
these
goals. I know
chances.
you've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Mbeumo and Cunha, and they're very good players, but they spent big on Sesko. There's a lot of rumblings about him in the summer.
Yeah.
Where did he go, etc.
But the thing with that formation, unless you've got creative players that can make stuff happen in the tens or out wide, i.e. in the position that Dorgu and Diallo, Ahmad occupying, you need your striker to kind of drop off and get involved in the play, right? Because you've got the two in the middle, Fernandes and Casemiro. Fernandes tries to step up and be that link. Casemiro's by himself, essentially. So you need either your tens to pitch in to get more involved, maybe drop off, maybe Cunha drops off, or whoever else is whoever's in the other 10 to drop off and get involved, Mbeumo to get more involved, in order for Sesko to then be on the end. But what it looked like is that Sesko was getting more joy by dropping off and creating and allowing Mbeumo to go through. That's how some of his chances, where his chances came from, and then Cunha picking up off of balls around the edge of the box. So I hear you, and I agree in terms of what they paid for and what they want from him. He should be getting on the end of those chances, but in the meantime, I think he's probably going to be better off just dropping off and getting involved.
And in terms of Brighton, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed that they didn't lay more of a glove on Manchester United, considering their record at Old Trafford over recent years. But Welbeck, fine goal scoring form, being shouts for him to be looked at for England. But all in all, Brighton, I don't think they can be too disheartened about their start to the Premier League season. They're 12 points out of 9 games. Brighton are always in and around mid-table to, let's say, 7th, 8th, always knocking on that European door. And I think they'll be there or thereabouts, same this season. Right, moving on to Bournemouth 2, Nottingham Forest 0. So this was the first league game in charge for Sean Dyche, who took over Nottingham Forest following the sacking of Big Ange. Obviously, he had a game midweek in the Europa League, ended up winning 2-0. But first Premier League game, and Bournemouth, kind of as expected, took this one. So Tavernier scored directly from a corner in the first half. I don't know what Sells was doing, but yeah, because it wasn't even like, when a goal scored direct from a corner, it's normally in like the far corner, right in the corner. Your keeper can't make it, but it seemed to go like pretty central. Yeah, don't know what happened to Sells there. And Krupi with a long range effort in the 40th minute to round off the victory, and Bournemouth had a few more chances. So let's talk Nottingham Forest. Third manager of the season. Obviously started off with Nuno. We all know what happened there. Ange came in, didn't get any wins. Football was pretty dire. Sean Dyche seems to have taken up the new mantle of the ilk of Big Sam, Harry Redknapp, that kind of manager that you call when things ain't going right and you need to stay in the league, which is a bit of a shame because his Burnley team were quite good at football. They weren't necessarily just sit back and soak it up and then hit you on the counter. Like the first couple of seasons, they played pretty good football. Everton, that's where you kind of saw, yeah, I'm just here to do a job, get the big man up there, etc. How do you think he's going to fare at Nottingham Forest?
Well, this is his opportunity, isn't it? This is his real, like, when I say opportunity, this is his chance because they're in European football. So this is his chance to show that he's not just, like he said, his Burnley team they played decent football, but let's be honest, they were limited in terms of the caliber of player that they had. I don't want to essentially say this Forest team are miles better, but
they're
better. So this is his opportunity to really show us that he can manage a team or coach a team that plays a decent style or a level of football, right?
So I'm just going to jump in quickly. Do you think he's inherited a better Nottingham Forest team than he did at Everton?
Oh yeah.
Okay, no, I just wanted to
get
your opinion on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only the problem that he has is he's got to stop the rot. All right, so there wasn't essentially rot under Nuno, but Ange's come in and
mash up the team.
Basically, he's taken them backwards.
Yeah.
So now
quickly as well.
When things are not going your way as a player, confidence is massive. So if your confidence is low, the first thing Dyche has got to do is come in and pick them up, right? So that would be the first task. And then the second task is to then translate his ideology onto the pitch. I don't think you can look at this result too harshly on Dyche. I think what happens now is how he then gets them going moving forward. What I've liked about his two team selections so far, he seems to have gone with the strongest team possible for Forest. And under Nuno, that was having Hudson-Odoi out wide, Morgan Gibbs-White in the middle. I know Chris Wood injured still?
Yeah, he wasn't on the bench.
So they've gone with Igor Jesus, but then you've got Douglas Luiz and Elliot Anderson in the middle, and then Mario Milenkovic. We know what kind of a partnership they were last season. So just having them back and playing together again, I hope it works because I do want to see Dyche at a different level and competing at a higher level. Because rightly or wrongly, he got that mantle of being a Bisto ball or gravy tacker. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And Bournemouth, Iriola doing what Iriola does, picking up points, sticking with generally the same lineup that they played all season, and they lost players as well. They lost 3/4 of their defense, but players like Sensi have come in and slotted in really well. Like they've been there, played in the Premier League for years.
Exactly.
And then you've got your two midfielders of Scott and Adams, who, let's be honest, they're not standout Premier League players.
I think Tyler Adams is.
Yeah, we've had debates on this.
I know, and people think I'm mad, but I genuinely like him as a player for what he does, what you want from him in the team. He does his job very well.
Yeah, I'd say they're not standout Premier League players, but together they work really well, and they're helping Bournemouth progress the ball really, really well. And then you can bring on players like Christie, who's got a nice left foot, who can deliver. Kluivert doing what he does best, keep the ball ticking over. We've spoken about Semenyo many times. Tavernier seems to have stepped up this season, chipping in with goals. Krupi, another find, chipping in with goals as
5
well.
5 goals in his last 3 games, club and country.
Exactly. So Bournemouth, who have now moved up to second in the league, 4 points behind Arsenal. Will Bournemouth be last season's Nottingham Forest?
For me, it's all about the Christmas period. When the fixtures come thick and fast, can they maintain? Because usually that's when you start to see injuries, and then for whatever reason it may be, form starts to kind of fluctuate. it's usually the teams that are able to maintain some form of consistency through the Christmas period who you can look at and go, okay, that might be the team that can stay the distance, can stay the course, and maybe put up a fight. Maybe not allow Arsenal to run away with the title. I hope so, because it'd be nice to see a different team, a team that's not in the top, considered the top six. So yeah, it'd be good to see if Bournemouth can stay the course.
Are Bournemouth going to finish in the top 6? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Nice. I
Stick my neck out.
I like that. Put your neck on the chopping board.
There you go.
Put your neck on the chopping board. All right, and we're just going to round off the rest of this weekend's Premier League fixtures, starting at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. Cash
money.
19th minute, rounding off a well-worked corner routine from Aston Villa and firing it in with his weaker foot. Haaland did have the ball in the back of the net, but it was ruled out for offside. I think it was Silva that was just offside. And I knew that once I put Haaland in my fantasy football team, he'd stop scoring. So, yeah, I apologise to Man City fans because I'm the reason Haaland didn't score this week. Arsenal 1, Crystal Palace 0. Eze scoring his first Premier League goal against his former employees. Pretty routine victory for Arsenal here.
Yeah.
Palace didn't really trouble them too much. They got a bit of life in them towards the end of the game. But with Liverpool losing, Manchester City losing, this has been a very good weekend for Arsenal.
It's a routine win.
Yeah.
Doing what they were meant to do.
Win.
Yeah.
Saka was a bit quiet, but I think it's going to be harsh to expect him to be on form every game that he plays.
And they've got enough talent within the squad to now no longer rely on one player.
This is it.
So,
you know. It's interesting. You've got Odegaard out.
Yeah.
And Havertz hasn't played this season.
Oh, yeah.
And no one's mentioned him. When last season, he was the one that everyone was mentioning. Kai Havertz, his song was getting sung every week, every other week down at the Emirates.
I know he's still injured, but
the fact
there's literally been no mention of him.
There's been no talk about him shows just how strong their squad is.
There you go.
So let's see if they can maintain that. Wolves, Vitor Pereira in trouble. Wolves 2, Burnley 3. Did you see Fleming's first goal?
No, I didn't. I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
It's reminiscent of, when Defoe was up at Rangers and that long ball came over the top and he hit it first time on that half volley.
So it's come over his shoulder and he's just smashed
Fleming's done it on his right foot this time. The ball hasn't travelled as far, but it's still come over the top and he just placed it in the bottom corner. So 2 goals for Fleming, put Burnley 2-0 up. And then Wolves struck back before half-time with a penalty from Larson and Minetzi equaliser. But then Hannibal plays a nice ball through to Foster in the 95th minute and Burnley take all 3 points. Vitor Pereira, I think, has to be looking over his shoulder now. 9 games in, only got 2 points, minus 12 goal difference. They're 6 points off 17th already. He just got a new contract, and I know this was kind of based off him doing really well at the back end of last season. But how many more games does he get before the owner's like, we need to make a change here?
I don't think he's got long at all, because you need to stop the rot and you need to stop it quickly, but you also need to give the new manager time. But you also want to give the current manager time as well. But it's just finding that right balance of, and you don't want to cause, you don't want media hysteria, right? You don't want the media then picking it up, and now there's all sorts of buzz going around, and now there's added pressure. So
I think if he survives 2 more games without a win, I think he might be in trouble. Moving to St James's Park, Newcastle 2, Fulham 1. Murphy back on goal scoring form. Lukic with an equaliser for Fulham. Bruno popping up with a 90th minute winner. Poor goalkeeping from Leno. Parries the shot out too far. Falls to Bruno. Slow to react by the Fulham defenders, but...
Can you just talk about Jacob Murphy quickly?
Of course.
So there was the goal that he scored, done really well.
Or Bassey done really badly. I think it's more on Bassey than Murphy.
But still you got to execute,
it, yeah.
right? You've got a defender chasing down, and you got another defender on your left, and then you've also still got to put it past the keeper. So he done well in that instance. But then the opportunity that came not long after,
I thought it was easier.
Exactly. Now I know there has been discussions around inclusion in the England squad. I know because he had a bit of a patch where he was playing really well last season.
Yep, him and Isak were a good combination for a large portion.
But in moments like this, you can see why he may not get the call up, because you score that goal, the game's pretty much
over.
I don't want to say over, but it's going to be an uphill battle for Fulham, right? You are 1-on-1 with the keeper and you can't score. And in a World Cup year, you need to be, any kind of opportunity that comes your way,
got to be firing.
You've got to execute and leave no doubt. So when it's time to start looking at inclusions, your name is swelling around the discussion. But if in instances like this, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, Dim agreement, okay, that because that one chance you missed, but you don't do yourself any favors when you miss or make mistakes like that. So
but yeah, good victory for Newcastle. Fulham lost the last 4 games, so they're going to need an upturn quick as well. Final 2 games, go back to Friday night. Leeds 2, West Ham 1. Leeds putting more pressure on West Ham. And when I say West Ham, I'd say more the owners than Nuno. Obviously, Nuno's just come in, but there's a lot of discontent rumbling around the London Stadium of late. They don't want to get cast adrift too far. They're on 4 points, 1 win. They're 6 points behind Burnley, who are the lowest placed promoted team.
Yeah,
it's not a good look for West Ham. And then finally, today's game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, Everton 0, Spurs 3. I'm a little bit surprised by this. I know Spurs' away form has been better than their home form, but Everton haven't lost at home so far. And yeah, 2 Van der Ven headers and another header from Sarr takes all 3 points. Yeah, a bit surprised at this one.
Why?
Just because I think Tottenham have been a bit hit and miss. I didn't expect them to go. I thought Everton have set up quite well. Moyes knows what he's doing at home. Yeah, I was just a bit surprised at this one. But yeah, good win for Spurs. Takes them up to 3rd in the league. Just do a quick roundup. So Arsenal sitting on top of the pile. 22 points from 9 games. Bournemouth 2nd, 18 points. Tottenham and Sunderland riding off the top 4 with 17 points each. And at the bottom, we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers on 2 points. West Ham on 4. Nottingham Forest on 5. So yeah, that's the roundup of the Premier League this weekend. We'll be back next week with a full house. But yeah, thanks for all the likes, shares and subscriptions and comments on the socials. Please keep it up and we'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.